Good morning, folks. It's after midnight. I've been inundated this evening after returning from Gettysburg, where I spent the afternoon with the Stolze family, a family of South African refugees, showing them around the battlefield in rather chilly temperatures, freezing temperatures, not sub-zero in Celsius, but not in Fahrenheit, down into the 20s. Got a little chilly there, but I think they had a good time and learned an awful lot, and I had a lovely experience with them. We did a live stream earlier. But this video is not about that. This video is about people coming in my chat and saying, do you have confirmation that someone's been denied refugee status in the program? I do not. That doesn't mean it's never happened. I've said that all along. There may very well be cases of people too ashamed or embarrassed or annoyed to tell anyone about this or to go public with it. However, apparently Lili Van de Plas and Morne Bota, Morne's channel I don't really watch because he spends all his time in Afrikaans, doesn't do it in English. I haven't watched either of their videos. So I'm telling you something third hand. I understand from my viewers that they both apparently have confirmed that there's someone that has been denied. As I understand it, based on third-hand information, again, but that's not the purpose of this video. I'm going to go on beyond that in a moment. But the basis for their denial was they lied about their history. They failed to disclose information that was discovered in investigation, and therefore they were denied. I can't confirm this. I heard cockamamie nonsense in the chat, so I can't confirm it. If people want to come forward and tell me about this, or Lili or Morne wants to contact me, I'm happy to discuss this and learn more about it. But the initial thing was put in my chat was that these people were at a interview in November and they were told they were denied a spot. That's not plausible. That's not how it works. And see, that's the advantage of being an investigator and a criminal investigator, a federal law enforcement official, an intelligence analyst, and all the things I've done in my life. That's not how it works. Your case doesn't get denied on the spot. It doesn't work like that. You're interviewed. That stuff is taken back, put with the investigation, matched up with an adjudicator or adjudicators, depending on the type of the situation. They review your case, and then they make a decision. Then they send you a letter. Now, subsequently, someone said that's exactly what happened. They were interviewed, and then they received a letter in December saying they were denied for lying. Perhaps that's how it played out. If that's the case, I'm not at all surprised. I have warned people, I have cautioned people, I have admonished people, I have told you from the very outset of this program, the only thing you need to do is be truthful. And an act of omission is an act of commission. If you forget or neglect to tell someone something important, like for instance, you served in the special branch in Soweto in 1985, you think they're not going to find that out? Then you really do not understand the ability of the United States government to coalesce and collect information. You really don't understand us. Do you think it was a miracle or a surprise that the United States went into Venezuela, killed 80 people who fought back against them? Not one soldier was wounded or killed. And we snatched Maduro, despite the fact he changed his residence 6 to 8 times per day or per week? You want to mess with that? Tell the truth. If you've committed no human rights abuses, if you were not a criminal, then you're going to be fine. If you've been convicted of a crime, but unjustly, tell the truth. If you're convicted of a minor crime, tell the truth. It may not negate your ability to come over as a refugee. But above all, tell the truth. My favorite South African phrase is, if I'm honest. And my response to that is, what else would you be but honest? You must be honest. You must be forthright. You must tell the truth. We don't want liars, leugners, and betrugners and verraaiers in our midst. That's why we have a screening process. That's why there are background checks. And if you think it's a cursory, stupid, like a police check where you bribe some police official for a couple hundred rand and they give you a clean report and you think that's going to fly, it doesn't work that way. These people are professionals. They are top in their field. They can smell BS a mile away. Be forthright. Tell them the truth. A couple of my viewers tonight said, hey, I got interviewed and I told them when I was 17 I smoked pot. And they asked, have you done again? And the interviewer laughed with them because it was youthful indiscretion. Being charged with a crime, being convicted of a crime isn't necessarily a block to coming over. It depends on the circumstances and whether the case was legitimate against you. Just because you've been convicted in a country that people have to flee from doesn't mean it was a legitimate conviction, although most of them tend to be. I know people have approached me at my meet and greets and said I was convicted of treason. I sent to prison. I took a plea bargain to agree to of treason so that I wouldn't get a 30-year sentence, and I served 5 years in prison. Well, that doesn't mean that you're someone that won't come over, all right? I don't know of anyone who's been denied this program. If in fact this person is denied after 10 months of a program of screening thousands of South Africans, and this is the first confirmed case of a denial, I'd say that's a pretty high success rate. We've had multiple instances of the small number of asylum seekers in South Africa over the past 10 months who we've publicly found out have been denied, have been denied, have been denied. Very few people will likely be denied in the South African program. We know of 2 fraudsters who were caught going to the interviews and were sent away. They were never allowed to even actually apply for the program because people knew they were fraudsters. They've been reported to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But we do not know of South Africans. I do not. I don't know who these people are. I don't know the circumstances. One of my viewers relayed something to me from the video, but since I didn't watch it, I'm not going to relay that. I'm just going to say that the bottom line is it came down to a truthfulness issue. And if you're not truthful, you're not welcome here. We have enough liars in our own midst of our own home generation and creation, plus 30 million criminals who invaded our country we're trying to get rid of. We don't need people who lie. Tell the truth. If you did something wrong, then you'll probably get denied. But if you did something you're accused of or falsely convicted of, or you were involved in an organization and did nothing wrong, then it should be fine. But I have no evidence, and no one has approached me. I have one person who recently contacted me out of desperation saying, oh, my security failed. My background check failed. Well, if you don't know why your background check failed, I'm a bit surprised. Most people should know why their background check failed if it happened. In that case, I don't have an answer for that person yet. But if you think that the United States, as the South African media breathlessly reports, as Democrats in America claim, that these people aren't being properly vetted by the Trump administration, then you are smoking ganja. You are believing nonsense. And you are not using good judgment and critical thinking skills to assess what's going on here. These are thorough background investigations. I've told you from the outset, there's a video on my channel from February that's still there that talks about this. Nearly a year ago, I published a video on this telling you about thorough background checks and what they look into. And I warned you to tell the truth. Omitting information, not telling about something. If you remember the AWB, for instance, and you don't tell them, you are not going to be approved. If you remember the AWB, will you come over? Possibly. It depends on the circumstances. If you're in a special branch in Soweto in 1985 on operations and you don't disclose that, if you're a member of Codefoot and you don't disclose that, 32 Battalion, you don't disclose that, not that they're bad organizations, but their allegations and their reputations, and they must be investigated. Be honest. And if you don't, if you're dishonest, I have zero sympathy for you. I do not tolerate liars. That's why I have such a problem with South Africa's mainstream media, because they do it every day. What say you, South Africa? Do you have empathy? Is this story true? It sounds plausible that it may very well be true, but I don't have the information, so I'm not going to say it's there until I get confirmation. But that's my analysis. If in fact they didn't disclose everything or they lied about it, that's why they got denied. And I warned you. You lie at your own peril. And if you think that you get over here successfully as a refugee and they didn't find something that you didn't tell, that you omitted, you'll be sent back when they discover. You think the investigation ends when you get here? No. Information is still coming in from these investigations, even when you come to America as a refugee. It ain't over. If you think you got in the country and you're safe? Nah. 233,000 refugee cases are being reviewed now by the Trump administration because they believe that most of the refugees that came over during the 4 years of Biden were fraudulent and failed background checks. They weren't doing their job thoroughly. And I suspect in a lot of cases, particularly for Ukrainians and for Afghans, that's true. For the Congolese and the Somalis and others that came over, I suspect they did thorough background investigations. But for the Ukrainians who were flooded in our country, 300,000 in short order, the 168,000 Afghans dumped on our shores in a matter of weeks, they didn't do background checks. That's just a lie. And that's not the agent's fault. That's not USCIS's fault. That's a corrupt Biden criminal regime. That's who's at fault. Anyway, folks, there's my thoughts on it. I know people are asking about it, so I've addressed it. There you go. I'm not attacking other content creators. I'm not claiming they said anything good or bad. I'm just relaying what came up in my stream and what I can tell you about it. Cheers.